Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhavan Kunja Bihari Jaya Madhavan Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Ashtottara Shatashi Srimad Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai Nantakoti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. So before we get into the fourth canto of the Bhagavatam, I thought, because it's Kartik, we could just read from Prabhupada's Krishna book about chapter 9, Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. So we could chant Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
So this is Krishna book, chapter 9, Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. Once upon a time, interesting Prabhupada used that. Once upon a time, seeing that her maidservant was engaged in different household duties, Mother Yashoda personally took charge of churning butter. And while she churned butter, she sang the childhood pastimes of Krishna and enjoyed thinking of her son. The end of her sari was tightly wrapped while she churned, and on account of her intense love for her son, milk automatically dripped from her breasts, which moved as she labored very hard, churning with two hands. The bangles and bracelets on her hands tinkled as they touched each other, and her earrings and breast shook. There were drops of perspiration on her face, and the flower garland which was on her head scattered here and there. Before this picturesque sight, Lord Krishna appeared as a child. He felt hungry, and to increase his mother's love, he wanted her to stop churning. He indicated that her first business was to let him suck her breast, and then she could churn butter later. Mother Yashoda took her son on her lap and pushed the nipple of her breast into his mouth, and while Krishna was sucking the milk and smiling, she was enjoying the beauty of her child's face. Suddenly, the milk which was on the stove began to boil over. Just to stop the milk from spilling, Mother Yashoda at once put Krishna aside and went to the stove. Left in that state by his mother, Krishna became very angry, and his lips and eyes became red in rage. He bit his lips with his teeth, and taking up a piece of stone, he immediately broke the butter pot. He took butter out of it, and with false tears in his eyes, he began to eat the butter in a secluded place. So, I think it's one of our acharyas. I think it's Jiva Goswami, but he explains. I was listening to my spiritual master give a talk, and he's explaining that that the milk, because everything in the spiritual world is conscious, so the milk that was on the stove top that started to boil over, it was thinking. The milk was thinking that, if Krishna becomes satisfied by Mother Yashoda's milk, then I won't have a chance for service. So let me boil over. And specifically, it was special milk, from Govardhan Hill, special cow, special grass. So it was a special milk. So the milk was thinking like that. He wanted to, or he or she, or however that works, wanted to, have some service. In the meantime, Mother Yashoda returned to the churning place after setting the overflowing milk pan in order. She saw the broken pot in which the churning yogurt had been kept. Since she could not find her boy, she concluded that the broken pot was his work. She smiled as she thought, "The child is very clever. After breaking the pot, he has left this place, fearing punishment." After she sought all over, she found her son sitting on a big wooden grinding mortar. Which was kept upside down. When you think of a grinding mortar, what do you, it's something, yeah, they used the spices. Yeah. Mm. So it was kept upside down, where he could climb on top. Okay. Which was kept upside down, that's what it's saying here. He was taking butter from a pot which was hanging from the ceiling on a swing, and he was feeding it to the monkeys. She saw Krishna looking this way and that way in fear of her because he was conscious of his naughty behavior. After seeing her son so engaged, she very silently approached him from behind. Krishna, however, saw her coming toward him with a stick in her hand, and he immediately got down from the grinding mortar and began to flee in fear. Mother Yashoda chased him to all corners, trying to capture the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who was never approached even by the expert meditations of great yogis. In other words, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, who was never caught by the yogis and speculators, was playing just like a little child for such a great devotee as Mother Yashoda. Mother Yashoda, however, could not easily catch the fast-running child because of her thin waist and heavy body. She still tried to follow him as fast as possible. Her hair loosened and the flowers in her hair fell to the ground. Yeah. They fell to the ground. See? Yeah, that wasn't planned. Although she was tired, she somehow reached her naughty child and captured him. When he was caught, Krishna was almost on the point of crying. He smeared his hands over his eyes, which were anointed with black eye cosmetics. What do you say? Zach said kajal. You have some experience with that? You decorate your eyes with that? The child saw his mother's face while she stood over him, and his eyes became restless from fear. Mother Yashoda could understand that Krishna was unnecessarily afraid, and for his benefit she wanted to allay his fears. Being the topmost well-wisher of her child, Mother Yashoda thought, if the child is too fearful of me, I don't know what will happen to him. Mother Yashoda then threw away her stick. In order to punish him, she thought to bind his hands with some ropes. She did not know the power of her child, or that it was actually impossible for her to bind the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mother Yashoda was thinking that Krishna was her tiny child. She did not know that the child had no limitation. There is no inside or outside of him, nor beginning or end. He is unlimited and all-pervading. Instead, he is himself the whole cosmic manifestation. Still, Mother Yashoda was thinking of Krishna as her child. Although he is beyond the reach of all senses, she endeavored to bind him to a wooden grinding mortar. But when she tried to bind him, she found that the rope she was using was too short. Prabhupada says by 2 inches. So she gathered more ropes from the house and added to it. But still she found the same shortage. In this way she collected all the ropes available at home, but when the final knot was added, she saw that the rope was still 2 inches too short. Mother Yashoda was smiling, but she was astonished. How was it happening? So we have the description in the Bhagavatam, in which Prabhupada made a summary study of the 10th canto. And then there's other books too, like Gopal Champu, Jiva Goswami's Gopal Champu. I'm sure there's a description of this pastime there. So maybe devotees could individually read that or somehow or other hear that. And then there's that book, by Kavi Karnapur. That book, Ananda Vrindavan Champu by Kavi Karnapur. I'm sure he has also a description. So devotees could read or hear that somehow. Different books with the pastime, same pastime. In attempting to bind her son, she became tired. She was perspiring, and the garland on her head fell down. Then Lord Krishna appreciated the hard labor of his mother, and being compassionate upon her, he agreed to bind her. He agreed to be bound up by the ropes. Krishna, playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda, was performing his own selected pastimes. Otherwise, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. As the pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee forgets his subordinate position. Similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother Yashoda. It says, as the pure devotee surrenders himself into the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee forgets his subordinate position. Forgets? Because the other one would say he never forgets or something. Okay. Yeah, forgets. So of course we have to be careful, This is for devotees like Mother Yashoda. We have to be careful not to forget our subordinate position to Krishna, because we could say, hey, well, I'm following Mother Yashoda, and I'm feeling superior to Krishna. So I'm forgetting my subordinate position and following Mother Yashoda. Okay.
Of course, no one can, let's say, Yashoda playing as a human child in the house of Mother Yashoda was performing his own selected pastimes. Sorry. Hare Krishna. Is it on? Hari Bol. Of course, no one can control the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee. But for his part, the devotee never forgets his own position of surrender. That's not what it says now, right? What does it say? What did you just read?
What it says now is, as the pure devotee surrenders himself unto the lotus feet of the Lord, who may either protect or vanquish the devotee forgets his subordinate position.
Yeah.
It's talking about Mother Yashoda.
That's
right?
the point.
Mother Yashoda taking the superior position.
Someone caught that and told me about it.
So yeah, we have to be careful not to, you could say, imitate. We follow, but we don't imitate. Because if we imitate, then it could be considered offensive if we're not on a particular platform. Just like apparently there was a historical account or a pastime in which I heard that, I was listening to a lecture by Tamal Krishna Goswami, and he was explaining that there was this pastime in which there was this Mataji, and she would apparently she'd be cooking breakfast for Krishna and his friends, and somehow or other, she was cooking in such a way that we would consider not clean. She didn't bathe, and she was actually like, it says that Krishna, he said that Krishna actually told her, I'll explain it, and then I think it'll make more. So she was cooking, khichdi, right? She'd probably have her, I don't know, whatever she was wearing, sari or something she slept in. And then she was cooking with a toothbrush. She was using her toothbrush, to stir the khichdi. Now, she was a devotee. She was a pure devotee. She wasn't, like a crazy person or something. She was actually a pure devotee. But somehow or other she was doing that. And it probably wasn't a modern toothbrush like we have, the plastic toothbrush was probably the stick, like a neem stick or something. So she was doing that, and Krishna and his friend, because it was Krishna's friend's mother. So then they would eat that khichdi, and Krishna apparently liked it very much. It was khichdi. So then one of the Goswamis, I believe it's Sanatana Goswami, they went to this Mataji and said, "Oh, Mataji, you can't do that. You didn't bathe, and you're using your neem stick. You can't do that. That's offensive." So then she said, "Oh, yes, you're right, Swami, and I won't do that. Sorry." So then she got clean, the next morning and used a regular spoon and all that. So then Krishna, as far as this account goes, Krishna goes up to Sanatana Goswami and he says, "Hey, I actually like that. I like how she's doing that. So, don't tell her that. Don't tell her to stop." So, but of course, if we go into the deity kitchen and we're dirty and we have our toothbrush, hey, we say, "Hey, I'm trying to follow the pure devotees," then I think that'd be a problem. So, we have to be careful not to imitate, but we follow, and we may not, do exactly like they do, but in trying to reach a higher level in a particular way, in a particular mood, we may follow them. All right, so similarly, the Lord also feels transcendental pleasure by submitting himself to the protection of the devotee. This was exemplified by Krishna's surrender unto his mother, Yashoda. Krishna is the supreme mother of all kinds of Krishna is the supreme bestower of all kinds of liberation to his devotees, but the benediction which was bestowed upon Mother Yashoda was never experienced, even by Lord Brahma or Lord Shiva or the goddess of fortune. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is known as the son of Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, is never so completely known to the yogis and speculators. But he is easily available to his devotees, nor is he appreciated as the supreme reservoir of all pleasure by the yogis and speculators. After binding her son, like we just read in the purport the other day, Krishna is known as Bhaktavatsala. Right? He's very affectionately inclined towards his devotees, but he's not known as whatever, Jnani Vatsala or this Karmi Vatsala. He's known as Bhakta Vatsala. After binding her son, Mother Yashoda engaged herself in household affairs. At that time, bound up to the wooden mortar, Krishna could see a pair of trees before him, which were known as Arjuna trees. The great reservoir of pleasure, Lord Sri Krishna thus thought to himself, "Mother Yashoda first of all left without feeding me sufficient milk, and therefore I broke the pot of yogurt and distributed the stock butter in charity to the monkeys. Now she has bound me up to a wooden mortar. so I shall do something more mischievous than before. And thus he thought of pulling down the 2 very tall Arjun trees. Wonder how tall they were. There is a history behind the pair of Arjun trees. In their previous lives, they had been the sons of Kuvera, and their names were Nalakuver and Manigriva. Fortunately, they later came within the vision of the Lord. In their previous lives, the great sage Narada had cursed them in order to bestow the highest benediction of seeing Lord Krishna. This benediction curse was bestowed upon them because of their forgetfulness due to intoxication. This story will be narrated in the next chapter. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta Purport, the 9th chapter of Krishna, Mother Yashoda binds Lord Krishna. So I'll just, there's some more about this pastime in Borijan Prabhu's book, in his Japa, and he's quoting Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So I guess before I continue, I'll just say Om Jnanitivedandasya Gananjana Shalakaya Chakshilan Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Kam Karivachalam Pangam Langate Garim Yakripatamaham Vande Shri Gurun Dinataranam Vancha Kapladubhishcha Kripa Sindhubevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gauda Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is exactly done with this pastime, and it's very illuminating. So he calls this chapter the 9th key, Krishna's causeless mercy. That's what Japa, this book Japa by Borijan Prabhu. And then he starts going into this pastime. The srimadbhagavatam tells an instructive story in this regard about Mother Yashoda. It means this idea that we may learn all the tricks of Japa, right? We may not eat, 15 bakoras the night before, and we may sleep, have a nice night's rest. And we may be sitting very properly with our zafu pillow or whatever we have. Or we may be pronouncing very properly, right? Very distinctly. We're not saying Hare Shnik Shnik, Ram Ram Shnik Shnik, We are saying Hare Krishna. And so on and so on. We're doing all the things we can possibly do in order to chant nice japa, right? But still, what's happening now? It's somehow that we're not entering into the holy name. So therefore that's our endeavor. We are endeavoring, but we need Krishna's mercy. So then he says, the Srimad Bhagavatam tells an instructive story in this regard about Mother Yashoda and her Shuddha Vatsala Prem, pure parental love, wanting to reprimand her naughty Krishna. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary on this pastime explains the master key. The Bhagavatam 10.9.15 states, when Mother Yashoda was trying to bind the offending child, she saw that the binding rope was short by a distance the width of 2 fingers. Thus she brought another rope to join it. So this is a commentary from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Although Yashoda could bind her child by love, though the size of her lap was small, the small form of the boy was all-powerful. This is shown in 3 verses. Krishna was thinking, I cannot be bound up because I must do my daily duties of stealing yogurt and playing with my friends. How can I do these things if I am bound? Krishna's vibhuti potency of opulence, inspired by his satya sankalpa shakti or icha shakti, the potency that fulfills his desires, and Krishna desired not to be bound, further inspired Krishna's vibhuti shakti to display his power, Aishvarya. Suddenly, Krishna's Vibhuti Shakti entered his body, and the rope remained 2 fingers too short, no matter how many ropes Mother Yashoda tied together. The Bhagavatam continues, text 16 and 17. This new rope also was short by a measurement of 2 fingers, and when another rope was joined to it, it was still 2 fingers too short. As many ropes as she joined, all of them failed. Their shortness of exactly 2 fingers could not be overcome. Thus Mother Yashoda joined whatever ropes were available in the household, but still she failed in her attempt to bind Krishna. Mother Yashoda's friends, the elderly gopis in the neighborhood, were smiling and enjoying the fun. So, you can imagine everyone, kind of looking out and Similarly, Mother Yashoda, although laboring in that way, was also smiling. So she seemed to think it was funny or amusing or whatever. All of them were struck with wonder. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments. All the elderly gopis in the neighborhood were laughing. In her astonishment, Yashoda thought, a rope of 150 feet does not fit around my son's small waist. And his waist is only this amount. His waist is not getting any bigger. The rope is not getting shorter, but still the rope does not reach around him. This is the first amazing thing. Furthermore, when I tie the ropes together, each time they are 2 fingers too short. Not 3 fingers or 4 fingers. No matter how much rope I tie on, it's still 2 fingers too short. This is the second amazing thing. Text 18. Because of Mother Yashoda's hard labor, her whole body became covered with perspiration, and the flowers and comb were falling from her hair. While Chad Krishna saw his mother thus fatigued, he became merciful to her and agreed to be bound. Here Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment, and this is here is Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's comment, and this is the essence of what I wish to say. All right, you ready for the essence? Is everybody ready for the essence? Okay. If you don't hear anything, this is the essence. As you cannot bind Krishna even with all the ropes in this house, then it must be concluded that it is Krishna's good fortune that it should not be. Listen, Yashoda, give up this attempt. Although the village woman advised Mother Yashoda in this way, okay, so this is the village woman talking, so we'll read it again. As you cannot bind Krishna even with all the ropes in this house, then it must be concluded that it is Krishna's good fortune that it should not be. Listen, Yashoda, give up this attempt. So this is what the village woman was saying. Although the village woman advised Mother Yashoda in this way, Mother Yashoda was determined. Even if evening comes, and even if I tied together all the ropes in the entire village, I must find out just once the extent of my son's waist. Yashoda wanted to teach her son a lesson, and in her persistence, she would not give up her attempt to bind the Lord. So this is italicized, this next sentence. In competition between Krishna and his devotees, the devotee's determination always prevails. So that means the devotees don't give up. It's not like, all right, hey, I tried to be Krishna conscious and it just wasn't working, so I just gave up. Or I tried to please Krishna and whatever, it didn't work, so anyways, just forget about it. Or I tried, and on and on and on, and then that means person's not determined. But it's saying here that in competition between Krishna and his devotees, the devotee's determination always prevails. Thus, seeing his mother's fatigue, Lord Krishna gave up his own persistence. He became merciful and allowed himself to be tied. Next, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur offers us a jewel of great value. So this is it. Krishna's mercy, which reigns as the king of all his potencies and illuminates them, melts the Lord's heart and turns his heart into fresh melted butter. In this incident, Krishna's heart had become very, very soft. We heard about 2 of Krishna's potencies evoked during this pastime. The first was his Satya Sankalpa Shakti, in which everything he desires happens. Then when he didn't want to be bound, his Satya Sankalpa Shakti called on his Vibhuti or Aishvarya Shakti to enter his body and cause the rope to be 2 fingers too short. When Krishna's mercy potency entered, however, then both of these other potencies disappeared, and the distance of 2 fingers was filled by the devotee's hard work, determination, and persistence, and by the Lord's mercy. 1 finger, therefore, represents the devotee's endeavor, and the other finger represents Krishna Kripa, Krishna's mercy. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur concludes, the bhakti nishta, the firm faith of the devotee, which is manifest in the tireless endeavor to serve and worship the Lord, and the swanishta, the steady quality of the Lord, which brings forward His mercy on seeing the devotee's effort and fatigue, cause Krishna to be bound. So yeah, this is important, that the bhakti nishta, the bhakta nishta, the firm faith of the devotee. So, you tired? A little bit? I've been yawning for the last 5 minutes. You have to become tireless. That's what it's saying here. And that means you have firm faith. The firm faith of the devotee. So how do we know we have firm faith? How do we know somebody has firm faith? This is what it's saying here. It's manifested in the tireless endeavor to serve and worship the Lord. That's how we know someone has firm faith. So if everybody has faith, we all have faith, and everybody has faith in something ultimately. But we want to have faith in Krishna, we want to have faith in the process of devotional service, we want to have faith in devotees. And everybody here, we have, to different degrees faith, right, obviously. And whoever's listening, whoever may be listening, they also have a certain degree of faith. So whatever degree of faith we have, we want to increase that. And if we're so fortunate, we will increase that. And we can develop our faith by associating with the faithful, not associating with the faithless. You associate with the faithless and you become faithless. And there are so many faithless people. This world is full of faithless people. It means they have faith in all types of nonsense, all types of garbage, all types of demoniac things, atheistic things, sinful things they have faith in. But they do not have faith in transcendence. So, and, by the way, there's also many devotees. People who chant Hare Krishna, people who wear neck beads, people who wear dhotis, saris, or if they're in the group of Krishna West, or if they wear shorts and pants or whatever. There's many different types of devotees, many different types of people. And so whatever they're wearing, whatever they're wearing, dhotis, pants, this, that, blah, blah, blah. Krishna West, Krishna East and West, I don't know. This is like Zach has a combination of Krishna East and West, the T-shirt and the dhoti, it's like a combination. So whatever the case may be, there are devotees with different levels of faith. And actually, some have very weak faith. That's why some of them blew sometimes, because they have very weak faith. So the idea is we want to associate as far as possible with people who have strong conviction and faith. And one of the best association, of course, is Prabhupada and his books, right? But there's also many other forms of association we could develop. And according to who we associate, our faith will be firmly situated in a particular way. So we want to have faith in Krishna, so we want to, associate with the faithful who are dedicated to Krishna. And the proof of that is that their tireless endeavor to serve and worship the Lord. That is the proof. So if we think we have faith, then we have to pass this test. Are we tirelessly endeavoring to serve and worship the Lord? Or if we think somebody else has faith, are they tirelessly endeavoring to serve and worship the Lord? like that, in a, innocent, pure, humble way. And if they have that, then this is what happens, that we have this, and then Krishna, he sees this, and he becomes merciful, right? Just like with Mother Yashoda, he allowed her to be bound. So we'll just finish this. In the absence of these two, the rope will always remain 2 fingers too short. Bhakta Nishta means firm determination. Quote, I may have to go to hell for my offenses I've committed, but I will never give up serving and chanting. Persistence, I will serve Krishna with my full heart even if he doesn't show me mercy. Oh, difficult one. Even if he doesn't show me mercy. Desire, I want only to serve Krishna, nothing else, and a willingness to accept responsibility for any failing. Oh, very difficult too. Accept responsibility for failing. My inability to serve Krishna properly is due to my own offenses. Bhakta Nishta is an essential part of the formula. When Bhakta Nishta, which is all, and he italicizes this, we can offer, combines with Swanishta, Krishna's steady mercy, the Lord can be bound. In this pastime, Lord Krishna showed Yashoda and the whole world that only love can bind him. Therefore, we should make a steady effort to chant the holy name with sincerity and surrender and depend on Krishna for the rest. All right. Damodar ki jai. Does anyone have any questions or comments? Damodar Kumar is in India.
Hare Krishna. She's carrying the whipping stick. He's carrying a stick. That stick was never used to whip Krishna.
Mm.
It's not a whipping stick. It's just a little threatening stick which he disregarded. Another note on kind of a little peripheral, because I think it mentioned forgetful in the reading in the Krishna book. Prabhupada sometimes uses the term forgotten souls. In fact, in the Gita, Arjuna was described as a forgotten soul. There's no forgotten souls. How can there be any forgotten souls? Does Krishna forget anybody? Forgotten souls is kind of this evocative term that's used, kind of nobody cares about me, nobody thinks about me. It's not really, but it somehow entered into Prabhupada's vocabulary. But what he means by it is forgetful. So when you read that in the books, just
Forgotten souls means they've just
forgetful souls. And you'll see it fits right in, because we're all forgetful. That's our problem.
Because Krishna can't forget anybody.
Yeah, he remembers everyone. We
like
forget him. He doesn't forget us.
He doesn't even forget that soul in the body of a pig, right?
Right there with as a super soul.
Yeah, very merciful.
So, am I now authorized to read the little Gopal Champu version tomorrow?
Yes.
Because there's a whole lot of nice little expansion
100%.
on that whole...
100%, 108%.
Okay.
And then maybe on Saturday, I could read... Yeah, Vrindavan Champa. And then we could have just be absorbed in the pastime. Hopefully. By Krishna's mercy, right? Our endeavor and Krishna's mercy. All right. Grantaraj srimadbhagavatam ki jai. Damodar ki jai. Lord Damodar ki jai.